Everybody thinks that Fellini movies, Sergio Leone's movies, are the most sold Italian movies in the world. It's not true. The most sold movie, Italian movie, in the history of the Italian cinema is Confession of a Chief Police. Confessione di un commissario al procuratore della Repubblica. I don't think there is one single country left out from the selling from Italy. So it means that it's been covered the entire world. This movie won the Festival of Moscow, won many prizes. I think that is an incredible movie, especially in those times where Italian cinema, they used to do political, social movies like Petri movies, Elio Petri's, Francesco Rosi, and this was Damiano Damiani too. Now, I'll tell you how we did this movie. I started with Damiani when I was 20 years old. I played a tiny little role in a film called La Noia by Alberto Moravia, by the book of Alberto Moravia, directed by Damiani with Horst Buchholz and Catherine Spack. And since then, Damiani said, very soon we are going to do a good movie together. And this happened 2 years later. We did Il giorno della civetta, a great book from Leonardo Sciascia, and it was, my partner was Claudia Cardinale and Lee Jacob. That was an incredible movie. The movie was very, very successful, very successful. Even now, every year, it's like a movie that never dies in Italy. They are showing on TV all the time, without stopping for the last 30 years. So, after that movie, a year later, Damiani calls me and he says, Franco, I have a great movie to do. It's called Confession of a Chief Police. And I would like you to play one of the two leads. And I read the script, I said, Damiani is fantastic. Now, who do you think could be the other one? He said, have in mind Anthony Quinn. Why don't we go and see him? Tony used to live outside of Rome in a little town called Cecchina. So we had lunch with him. And Tony started to say, no, but we should change the story. Maybe instead of shooting in Sicily, we go to Chicago, the mafia. So anyway, when we left Tony Quinn, Damiani said, what do you think? I said, I think that you should do your movie. I agree. So let's forget about Tony Quinn. So he talked to another actor. His name is Ben Gazzara. Ben Gazzara read the script, accepted the other role. And he came to Rome. He signed the contract. He came to Rome just to start the movie. And I was already in Sicily. When he came to Rome, he too wanted to change the title, other things. So Damiani said, forget about this other actor. So practically, I was in Sicily. Damiani flew to Palermo with me, and we didn't have the other role, the other actor. So the producer, he called us. I said, what are you going to do? Well, you better talk to Gazzara agents. Jay Julian is a lawyer from New York. And we told him the story. I said, listen, Gazzara, what do we do now? So Jay Julian said, listen, at the moment, I have available an actor called Martin Baum. I don't know if you know him. So Damiano calls me and said, do you know Martin? I said, fantastic, he's the best of all. Because I just saw him Catch 22. He was also up for an award for another movie. I don't remember the name of the movie. And he said, believe me, he's more Italian than anybody else. He looks very Sicilian. So anyway, in 24 hours, Martin Balsam got the plane from New York, arrived to Palermo. I remember he arrived in the morning, and right away they took him to a shop for some fitting. And in the afternoon, he shot the first scene. Unbelievable.
Bodensatz der Menschheit.
Ciao. Ciao.
Aber ich frage mich, wie viel erst hier drin dazu geworden sind.
Herr Kommissar, entschuldigen Sie.
Regen Sie sich nicht auf. Ich bin nicht hier wegen gewisser Vorgänge in Ihrem Haus, die den Staatsanwalt interessieren würden. Ich will nichts weiter, als dass der mit dem Reinigungsfimmel entlassen wird. Innerhalb von 2 Tagen.
Das Feuer ist sofort einzustellen. Ich befehle es. Ich, der General.
We did this movie. As I said, it was very, very successful. And there is a very, very funny story from Martin Balsam. He told me that one day he was on a flight with Ben Gazzara. And they looked at each other. And there was a moment of silence. And Martin Balsam said, Ben, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's it. Because Martin, after that movie, he became a big star here. And we did other movies together. We did another 3 or 4 movies together. I liked so much Martin Balsam that I suggested him in many other movies. After Confession of a Chief Police with Enzo Castellari, we did a movie for children. It was called Onion Man. And I suggested his name, and he was in that movie with me. After that movie, I did another movie called Corruption in the Hall of Justice, and I suggested Martin Balsam. Then I practically co-produced a movie from a great book, The Salamander, by Morris West. And I did the entire cast in that movie, because I put Tony Quinn, that was, in the meantime, became my father, because when my real father died, Tony said, from now on, I will be your dad. And since then, I called him Dad, and he called me son. Actually, 3 years ago, when he died in Rhode Island, I went there as a son to have a speech in the church. And then I put Christopher Lee, that he was a friend of mine, Claudio Cardinale, and of course, and the other one, Eli Wallach, and Martin Balsam. So we had a great time, and I was very, very sad when Martin died, because he was an incredible human being and an incredible actor. After La Noia, after Il giorno della civetta e after Confessione di un commissario al procuratore della Repubblica, I went on working with Damiani. We did another great movie about the prisons in Italy. A man who goes to prison by mistake. It's called L'istruttore chiusa dimentichi. I think it's a masterpiece, that movie. And then I did another movie called Why You Kill a Judge, and we shot that in Sicily. In the film Confession of a Chief Police, there was also a lovely actress called Marilu Tolo. I was 20 when Marilu and we did a little role in a movie of Carlo Lizzani called La Celestina. We played the 2 young lovers. And that was the first time when I met Marilu. And then, of course, we were together in Confession of a Chief Police. And then we were together again in a Western by Duccio Tessari that was called Don't Turn the Other Cheek. We had a great time, and she was a wonderful lady, a wonderful actress. She is Well, no, she was, because now she doesn't act anymore. She married a very rich man in Mexico. I'm very glad. Actually, she sends me always the special cards for Easter and Christmas. Um, and she was, or she is, an incredible dancer. When we were shooting Don't Turn the Other Cheek in Spain, we were dancing all the time. And she was one of the few actresses that really followed me when I was dancing. And we were like, a duo. Everybody stopped dancing just to watch us. So I have a great, great remembering of Marilu Toloto. Another nice remembering that I have from Confession of the Chief Police is the actor Claudio Gora. He was one of the top Italian actors for theater. He used to do a lot of theater. But sometimes he was doing also cinema. And we worked very well together. He was very professional.
Vorsicht, Trainee, wie schnell ist eine Affäre in Gang gebracht, die höchste Beamte diffamiert und das Vertrauen zum Staatswesen untergräbt. Gerechtigkeit. Aber mit vorsichtiger Hand.
Ich halte Sie auf dem Laufenden.
Was immer Sie tun, tun Sie es gewissenhaft.
A few times I went to his house. He used to live outside of Rome in Grottaferrata, and he was proud because he was saying that he was doing a great wine. So he kept saying that his wine was one of the best in Italy. And I was telling him, I don't think so, because I make my own wine, and I think mine is better than you, so than yours. So it was a lot, a kind of joke between the two of us. And I think that was the only time I worked with him. And when he left us, when he died, I was, very sorry too, very upset. Damiani, in his movies, liked to use people that were not actors, but they had a great face on the screen. And he was one of those directors, he could make them act so well. He could it was like Vittorio De Sica. Everybody could act with De Sica or with Damiani, because he was so powerful, and he was angry with himself if the guy couldn't act the way he wanted. So he hired a stuntman in the movie, Nello Pazzafini, that he has an incredible face. And Nello said, Damiano, I'm not, I'm a stuntman, I'm not an actor, but don't worry, you follow me. And Nello was fantastic in the movie. He had a little role, but still that little role was important in the movie. During the shooting of Confessione di un commissario, there were many episodes, some funny and some less funny. There is one very funny. For me, it's funny now to tell. At that time, it wasn't funny. In Sicily, there are many young guys. We say teste calde, hot heads. They are, excited when they go and see a movie. At that time, I did a Western, so Franco Nero on the screen was this man, invincible, with a gun. So one day, while I was there, waiting for a scene, a guy came next to me with a gun. I said, you are Franco Nero, eh? You are the guy who wins, is always invincible, and with a gun. Now let's see what you can do, eh? Let's see what you do. Of course, in that moment, I was, a little bit afraid, but I pretended as nothing was happening. And you know what I did? I grabbed this gun and I said, give me this gun. You're still going around with this gun, but throw it away. And the guy was shocked. And this was, I saved myself because he could have shot me, you know. But, you know, the situation, you know, the episode ended in that way because all the others, then they grabbed him and they, you know, that was the end of the episode. The musician in Confession of the Chief Police was Rizzo Ortolani. I did many movies with Riz. He's a very sensitive, very gentle musician. Maybe because he's married to a great singer. She's Katina Ranieri. And I know him, we are friends because sometimes I go at dinner at his house with her, we had a lot of fun, we play. And, but I think it was the right choice for Confession of a Chief Police. In Italy there are great musicians, you know, there is Bacharov, Morricone, Piovani, but for that particular movie I think that Rizzo did a great job. I was offered La Piovra. That was a TV miniseries, very successful in Italy. But I did not want to do TV at that time. I didn't want to do TV. So, and also because the two producers of La Piovra, they were the same producers of Confession of a Chief Police and other movies that I did with them, and they never paid me. So I did not wanted to work with them. So I turned it down. And since then, we talked to do other things together. Even last year, we talked to do a movie in New York. And maybe, you never know, maybe we'll do something together again.